Hey, what's up guys? So I got very important information if you are a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player or if you're just a casual player, because this changes up the game rules in Yu-Gi-Oh. This is provided by Vexicus, so thanks to him. But anyways, let's go and jump right into it because there's actually two things that I want to talk about. So first off, to start off, now with the field spell zone, normally there was only one field spell card allowed, and in the OCG you're allowed to have two, one for each player. Now that will be taking into effect into the TCG. I don't know why we didn't just have the same rules as the OCG forever, because during our Worlds we always go by OCG, meaning Japanese rules anyways, so that's just how the game is. But the more important thing is, I mean, the field spell thing it's kind of relevant, I mean, in the game in general, but the thing is, I don't think there's anything in the meta right now that really utilizes field spells. But the most important thing is over here where it says number 4, it says, now draw your top 5 cards. This is your starting hand. Each player draws a card at the beginning of the turn except for the first player's first turn. You can play cards from your hand only during your turn. So that's huge in the game. Basically, going first in Yu-Gi-Oh was always a huge advantage. There was basically no downside. Basically, you get to summon your monsters and you get to technically draw another card. You would start with 6 cards while your opponent only had 5. And what I really hated with this is sometimes you would draw a maxi or an effect but right after your opponent went off. It was like, oh, if I only had that extra card, that would have been so much nicer. So the player that goes first is unable to draw. So they start out with 5 cards instead of 6, just like in the OCG. I think this is a fantastic thing. I made a video a long time ago how I talked about going first in Yu-Gi-Oh was technically unfair, and everyone agreed. I don't think there's any player that thought, oh, being able to attack first was actually relevant in the game, when going first was just, it's so much better in the game. You're able to establish your field and your opponent can't really stop anything, with the exception of like Herald of Orange Light, maybe an Effect Feather or Maxi or something like that. But there are still decks that want to go first. But before we get into that, I just want to go ahead and show you guys this post. It was from Julia Hedberg. If you don't know her, she is the judge of judges. Basically, she says the starter deck is not legal for the North America WCQ and public events. That includes the cards and the rulebook. Anyone telling you otherwise is uninformed. So basically that means these rules will not actually apply for the North America WCQ. So if you're competitively, going for that, these rules won't apply. So the same TCG rules will apply, where going first is always going to be the better option, pretty much. Very rarely will decks want to go second right now. But once this comes around and this actually takes into effect, certain decks will still want to go first. Off the top of my head, Constellars, Evil Swarm, there's a bunch of stun decks, Boojins, a bunch of decks that revolve around stunning your opponent to making it so your opponent can't even play. These are still going to be decks that just want to go ahead and go first. Other decks like the Pendulum decks, OTK decks, they probably still want to actually, technically going second is not like going first, because you're able to actually get another card and you're able to actually do something. I almost feel like it's even better than going first previously, because you're able to have another card off of your opponent, and I know your opponent can still set up with cards that can stun you, plus they have the ability to stop your plays with traps and stuff like that. But a lot of the meta decks right now in Yu-Gi-Oh, especially since Lightsworn will be so big, a bunch of these decks aren't even going to be playing traps anyways, so that's just one thing to consider. So OTKs will be probably really relevant, especially with Lightsworn being such a popular deck right now, and since it's already topped in Europe. Just another thing I wanted to mention, still going first is not always going to be like bad. I mean, sometimes you don't win the dice roll or coin flip, or however you determine who's going to be going first in the game. There's still this card called Supply Squad. It used to be called Supply Unit, which technically will get you an extra card anyways, even though technically this is one card, but it'll at least give you that extra advantage that can actually get even more powerful as the game technically goes longer, as long as it can go longer. But like I said, there's so many decks, like with Lightsworn being around, Supply Squad not going to be too relevant, because you're just going to go ahead and blow up the entire field, and therefore you're not going to be able to draw the cards because Supply Squad will be gone. But there's another card that make a separate video on it. Basically, it allows you to just go for first turn D-Fisher, which can technically shut down Lightsworn really, really fast. But I think this is overall a good change to the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Let me know, guys, are you not going to play certain decks because of this, or are you going to play certain decks because of this? Because, like I said, there are 2 decks that I think of off the top of my head, Evil Swarms and Constellars, which still generally will like to go first because they can just go ahead and go, Pleiades bounce, okay, I'm going to attack you for game relatively quick, or the Evil Swarms can just go ahead and make it so you can't get out your cards anyways. So like I said, it's not going to be, going second is best for every deck. Most of the time, I would say, more than likely, most players will be going second now. So going second is the new going first. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on this. Do you think this is good for the game? Personally, I still think it's good for the game. But at the same time, when there's Pendulums coming out, and there's so many OTK-based decks, this can make it so you go first. Oh, you didn't go ahead and open up a trap? Or you're getting OTK, bro. That's just how it's going to be. But we'll have to wait and see what this game has in store for us. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes out.